Now the next thing that we are going to implement is our drone object, since we are using quite a lot of them. Now remember what drone object is. The drone object is a front-end abstraction of the existing drone in the real world. So that drone that is that has a Raspberry Pi in it, that is connected to our backend application, and in front end, the way to control this drone is through this abstraction. So in JavaScript logic, we rely on this abstraction to deal with all the logic that is related to this machine. So if we want to send a message to the drone, we do it from here. If we want to view video or start video, stop video, we do it through this abstraction. Okay? And we want to receive some data about the drone current location, we get it from this drone. So it manages its latest information, it's, well, everything that we want to get from the object, we get it from this abstraction. Okay, that's a lot of words. Now let's go ahead and implement it. Now this is app, you see, file. Where are we gonna do it? We're gonna do it in our library, because library will keep all other objects. Okay, as we agreed. So we start with the constructor. So far, what we know about our drone is well, as we define the contract here, it will accept its ID, latitude, longitude. And then later we will set up speed and altitude. Now, so that's the constructor. So what it does, it creates internal fields and assigns them. Then we create video socket. Okay. Now video stream client is this video stream client is the same object that we use in our video because you remember, where is it? HTML. There you go. You see, video stream client. We are reusing the same object there. So in the drone, we also create this client, which means we create a WebSocket connection to the backend, and once our drone is connected, we start streaming or viewing the video from that drone on the page. So that's what we do. Then we create position mark. Position mark, it's in order in our map, in our world map, this one, okay, to see exact location of our drone. When it connects, bumps, we see it. Okay, that's position mark. Good. Now, and of course, we need to set latitude and longitude, and this is what we provide in the constructor. All right. In this position mark, we use Google Maps API. So this object comes from Google. So, and in the constructor, it accepts in its constructor it accepts this object. Well, we figured out what the position is. Then map, we are setting our world map. Okay, that's defined right here. And since it's a global variable, these all, remember, even though they are in different files, but once you import them, they are in all the same namespace they share. Okay, so it is visible. You can access it like this. It looks weird in terms of if you come from the world of Java or Python or some other language, but in JavaScript, at least in this example, you can access it like that. So we provide the link of our world map. As a label, we're gonna set the ID plus empty string to set up that it is a string. Okay. Now that will be the label, which means that when it is created, you see here, it seems it's one, but actually there are two drones. You see, you connect drones, and this ID1, ID2. Okay, and as an icon, I use SVG. It's a mathematical abstraction it's well, mostly it's a mathematical image. You see, where was it, that thing? It's in resources. We don't have it here. Let's create in the resources, by the way, this file, which is drone.svg. You, by the way, you are going to, you will already have those. I want to tell you. Wait a minute. Yes, you will have this those objects, because along with the project, I'll provide it to you. So it's not necessary for you to type this. It's madness. So anyway, this is our drone SVG object. You can choose something else, of course, to download some another page from online. So let's see, it's on in the resources folder. I just want to make sure that it needs to be on resources, but not on resources precisely. I think it should be in static folder, in static images. It should be in this. Yes, because here when you say it like this, it by default Spring will look into the static folder. That's why here you see when you said root directory, then JS app.js, it looks into the static by default. If you wanted to put it some different directory, you need to set it up in Spring. But by default, when you say it like this, it means from root directory of this resources start from static folder, which means that if we define it like this, with no directory, it will be looking it into the static directory, and there we have it. Okay, so that's the icon. Then this drone object also will need a location to point data map. What does it mean? It's our point data when we set a mission for the drone. You remember, we go here, we select some drone, this drone, and when we create markers like this, these should be associated with this drone, not this one, but this drone. These points, they represent mission data, mission points. Okay, so that collection here is going to be keeping those points, and also see that whenever we click, you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Next click will be 6, 7, 8. Okay, so those are labels. And to label them like that dynamically, we will have our here a label counter. And what label counter does, it's whenever I click, it will read current label counter. It would set it here, and then it will increase the number, so that when I click next time, it will be the next number. Okay, that's what it does. So currently we set it up as 0, and I set up speed and altitude here. I set them at 0 because this way I create local variables in this drone object. So after that here, you see, I'm setting it up. If I don't do it like this, if I don't create them in the constructor, it means that they will not exist, and they will in the drone it will not have this kind of properties. But again, maybe the better would have been to put them in a constructor altogether, right? It doesn't make much sense to have them like this. But anyway, let's leave it now. Let's leave it be as it is for now. So okay, this is for our constructor. What we need next is for this object we spoke about, this location to point data map. We will need to be capable to start mission. So when we start mission, it's again simple AJAX call. We create, we extract our points data, and we set. So what we do is actually we return this data object. this data object has points and has drawn ID. So backend, once received this JSON data, this JSON, okay, this is a JSON. This will be encoded into JSON and sent as a string to the backend. And this JSON will have drawn ID field and points data. Points will be list of our list with these points that we have here. Okay. So when we send them, it will have those variables. Now, since it doesn't matter, we're just posting, we're just sending data. If it's okay, we just console log the result of it. All right. A bit later, we will look deeper into when we start to develop the backend endpoint for this one. Okay, so next method that our drone needs to have is send command. So send command, again, it will post to this endpoint. It posts the data structure that has a command code and drone ID, so it would know from which drone this command comes from, or to be more exact, which command this drone belongs to, and it needs to send, to which drone it needs to send. Okay, and again we log just logging the response. So we will additionally need some methods for starting video feed and stop video feed. Okay, so here we created video socket, and on this video socket, when we start video feed, it disconnects first. So if we had something opened or connected, we release resources, and then we activate stream we started. And also to stop video feed. So additionally, we will of course need to be capable to set the position, right? So set position, it means that whenever we receive data from backend, we need to update our current location of our drone, which is this one, when it's moving, right? So each second it will have different location. So it receives data, and it uses this method set position to set this data. And when we update position mark, remember it's a Google API position mark, right? Immediately it will update its location on this map. And as the drone moves in real world, we receive data about this movement, and it looks kind of animated. Okay. So that's how, and here we save our latest position data. If we need to extract where this drone currently is, that would be its latest data right here. So obviously next we need to be able to add points. So I think somewhere we used add point. When we create, you see, when we create points like this, what we essentially do, we need to add this point to our drone. Okay, so this method is doing exactly that. It creates point ID, because since we are putting into location to point data map data structure, we need some identical keys, because we might want, for instance, decide to remove, right? Remove. Oh, bounce, it's gone. You see, it's gone. It's removed from the map. We don't need it. So we will need identical, some unique key. Okay, so here we are saving it, and this is, by the way, in JavaScript how to call a static method if you want to. Not necessary, but just to show it. Because create point ID, it's kind of utility method. It's not necessary for it to belong into the instance object. It belongs to the class object. Okay, So that's how you do it. And how to make a unique key? Well, by using the marker latitude and longitude and merge them together as a string. That will be pretty unique key for this point. Okay, so next we need to be capable to send data to the backend and translate it to JSON, and this method does exactly that. You see, get points data to JSON. I think we use it. Let's right here. You see, when we are posting start mission. So right here, for instance, when we are happy that we set up mission the way we want it, we will click this start mission button, and this data will be sent to the backend, and from the backend it will be sent to the Raspberry Pi, and from Raspberry Pi it will be translated to Mavlin commands, and our drone will execute our mission data. So this point that defined our mission, we need to somehow grab information about them and send it to backend. And this is where it comes into place, this method. Okay, get points data JSON in JSON format. So what we do here is we build array, and we are iterating for each again of this data points map. You remember, when we add point, we're adding new key value pair into this map. So we are iterating through all those objects, and while we iterate, we structure our JSON in this format. Okay, so it has latitude, longitude, speed, height, and action. And at the end, we're just subtracting the last string with this sign, and replace it with this bracket, so we would have proper format. But basically, what we do here is we build JSON array with the JSON objects. Okay. And what we would need, some additional helper methods. So we would want to get point for certain ID key, okay, or we want to remove point. And remember, this all belongs to our drone abstraction. Okay, so these are APIs, contract APIs that we expose to outside world, I mean other entities in our JavaScript application, so they would execute application logic, so they do not know about internal implementation of this drone object, or how this point data is represented in it. But whenever it wants to get some for a certain ID key, or if it wants to remove some point, when we you see here, if we click on it and we remove it, it needs somehow to remove from this drone. So that's how our application knows how to do it, by us exposing these APIs. Okay, and some additional methods for our points. Let's see, what would they be? Okay, so we want to hide points, be capable to hide them, and the way to hide them, we iterate through each of our points, and each point data has a marker object. This comes from Google API, this marker point, you remember, right? And whenever this marker you set map to null, it means that it's not linked to this marker with any map, and what happens is they just disappear. Like here, you see, if I click clear mission data, well, clear mission data actually will remove them from underlying collection also. But the way to see how they are hidden, if we go back to our menu and we select drone number 2, you see we do not see points of drone number 1. So they still exist in the memory, but they are not visible from drone ID number 2 perspective. Okay, they are hidden, and the way to hide them is exactly here, hide points. So when we switch to another drone, basically what we do, we call this API on the inactive now drone ID1, and what we'll do is we'll set into point data into marker. I will set them up to null, and when you want to show them, what you do is you go through, iterate through each of these points data on this drone, and you set map to our world map, and they will show up again. Okay. So we need also API to remove points. Okay. And get next label, and that's by the way functionality. It's how we think somewhere in the, let's see, where was that thing? Yeah, that will be used, that thing will be used a little bit later. It's used, I think, when we create a point. Okay. I want to make sure that we are not missing actually anything. So let's see. Yeah. So this functionality will be used from within another method that needs to get. You remember here we are creating. Let's see where that thing was. In our main application, we create add marker. You see? So whenever we click on world map, it will add marker, but it will add this marker to the currently active drone. And how it will know currently active drone is this global variable. It will keep our drone that is currently selected. Okay. So that's the way for it to. If you see here, this method, when it creates another point, it will call to this method. It will of the active drone. It will on the active drone. It will call on this method, and it will return the proper label for new point. Like you see, in 1, 2, 3, and so forth. Okay. So I think that's about it for the drone itself. And let's go through it again. Point data. Okay. So here we create point data. I didn't talk about that. Now, what is point data? Well, point data is just another object. Just another object that we will create right here. Okay. It's kind of DTO object, that transfer object that keeps the marker, speed, height, and action. It's a way to kind of encapsulate information into single logical unit. Okay, this is point data, and that's why here you see point data, marker, set map, point data, marker, and set map, and where marker is Google API for the marker when we create it. Okay. So at the point, if you see here, but actually it will be on the method where we create. So for the drone, I think video, I think we build it in completely now our object, and now next what we will do, we'll implement this method add marker, and a lot of stuff will become more clear regarding all those calls to the method and objects. Okay.